First of all, I kind of need to give you a little bit of a warning. Take most of this with a pinch of salt. The problem with SCP is there isn't technically one whole through line of what we know is canon or not. Most of what you would do is you'll look on the actual forum and you'll see a whole list of SCPs. Not every single one of them is technically canon, depending on what you do with it, but they all have the potential to be canon, more or less. So you don't have to include everything in it. It's just that's what you can pretty much pull from. Most of the information we're going to be getting from is going to be in the form of a story. In those stories, again, take those with a grain of salt. A lot of them like to take creative liberties. Basically, what you want to be canon, you can consider canon. It's not exactly wrong. The main consensus is there is one timeline-esque, and a whole bunch of different, like, branching off timelines or universes or things like that. That can just vary from ways to way. It's a little bit weird, but try to hang in with me if you can. It's just, try to keep a lot of this in mind. What is it exactly? SCP is a website forum that was created in 2008. What it contains is a lot of SCPs. SCP standing for Secure, Contain, Protect. There's a lot of them, and it just really depends on, again, what story you're following that you're going to hear from. There are a lot of games. The most common ones I'm sure people will know is Containment Breach, Secret Laboratory, and 5K. I don't like 5K, but I'll get into that. It's too early for me to start being upset. The Foundation themselves, they do, as their name implies, they secure, they contain, and they protect anomalies. Their main goal, at the end of the day, is to protect humanity from these anomalies that can range from just a little funny little toy that you can put into a box to world-ending plagues. So that's pretty fun. That's good. Love that. The important thing to note, real quick, is that the wider world as we know it does not know of their existence. So they're not going out and being like, hey, we're the SCP Foundation, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. They do have to be pretty covert about what they do, and they have multiple different branches to do that. So that's pretty good. What do they do? Well, I'll tell you as soon as the delay fixes itself and loads my next slide. There. Again, secure, contain, and protect. They don't just take SCPs and throw them into a box and hide them away. What they do, they find the anomaly, they contain it, and then they study it to make sure, okay, what can we figure out about this thing to know for the future? A lot of the times, the end goal is to solve the anomaly, to understand what it does and how it works. There are a class of anomalies that are classified as explained, as in, hey, we know what this does now. In the SCP universe, solar panels were technically an SCP that they solved, quote unquote, and now humanity uses that in the broader world. And again, their ultimate goal is to just protect humanity from SCPs. Again, the wider world does not know that these things exist, and we shouldn't know they exist, because they are not good and dangerous. Very, very dangerous. When was the Foundation formed? Good question. I don't know. Remember when I mentioned that most of what you're going to learn is going to be dependent on stories and take it all with a grain of salt? This is one of them. The true Foundation, like the true forming of the Foundation, is redacted. We don't actually know. So most stories are going to take creative liberties with them. A lot of these range from having existed since humanity has first existed, coming to existence from the Second World War, and having the Second World War actually be a front for this anomalous war of sorts that the Foundation comes into power from. When I say come into power, they form from like fragmented branches. That's one way to look at it. Some propose that it was formed because of the administrator, someone that we will cover in a minute. As best as I can, he is someone that is very secretive in a organization that is already exceptionally secretive of pretty much everything. But some believe that he formed it to combat the Scarlet King, who is somebody that I don't have enough time to go into depth about, but basically he's a big bad person who may or may not be responsible for the creation of a whole lot of SCPs. Again, depends on your interpretation. That's one way to look at the Scarlet King, but what's important to know is he's scary, and I don't like him. He's bad. Wurmst. So they have facilities all over the world. They're not like just stuck in one place. They span every single continent. They could be anywhere, really. They cooperate with all world governments. So basically, what that would mean, not everyone in the government's going to know, but think of the president of the United States would know about them, but not for very long. Pretty much just the sitting president would know. Maybe the prime minister of parliament or something like that. Like, not many people know. Pretty much only the heads of governments would know about them. And by the end of their term, they will get their memory wiped about the Foundation. That's another thing that I'll go into later. I'm trying to pace myself here to make this like a coherent timeline as best as I can. It's really hard to describe SCP Foundation without talking about something else I haven't described yet. Just hang in with me there. I will get to it, hopefully. Their facilities do tend to be in far-out locations. Think about like the Ural Mountains, right? No one's going out there in their free time just to poke around the Ural Mountains, probably. Like the Sahara Desert, Nevada, places like that. Anywhere that civilization just isn't very common. They will make big use of front businesses. Pretty much like the mafia. Just a funny little coffee shop, and underneath they have a shipping facility for all kinds of things. That's just how the SCP Foundation does things. You could technically be working for the Foundation and not know it, which I think is pretty cool. It's not very scary, but, still very cool, and I like that a lot. This delay is killing me. I don't like it. That's fine. How? Okay, again, they work with all world governments. That is a place they receive funding from. Obviously, they're not going to receive all of their funding from there, because if every time the government came together, let's say Congress came together, and they're like, oh, what's this billions of dollars go into some random organization? That's going to get pretty sketchy pretty quickly, but they will get a little bit of money from that. They make, again, large use of front businesses. Amnestics. Now, here's where I get to go with it. Amnestics are a very common thing. There's different ranges of them in intensity. Think Type A, the strongest. Type B, pretty strong, but not super, not completely mind-wiping. They will use that a lot. There has been one recorded instance, I believe, where they had to cover the entire Earth in Class A amnestics to forget about some major containment breach. They try to avoid that because obviously it's very expensive, and the risk of it getting out to the wider world is not something they want to happen, because the Foundation does make questionable moral decisions, which I will get into later as well. This is just the introductory period. They have agents all over the world. So how do they find out about an SCP? Well, typically it's from first-hand accounts. Like, some guy's walking down the street and he sees some guy floating in the air. Well, he's going to report that to the police. An SCP agent in the police station is going to be like, oh, hey, that's an anomaly. They'll send out dedicated field agents to get a lock on him. Then they'll send out MTF units, mobile task force units, to typically capture him and bring him in, or, however that is supposed to be brought in. On-site agents will basically look at it and be like, how do we get this thing inside, right? So, yeah, that's pretty good. Now, who works for this foundation? How does this super big organization work? How do they get people? Well, it's the best way to look at it is a pyramid, right? Just different layers of people. It all starts with the O5 Council. I'm going from top to bottom here, I should say. They are very powerful people. For most of these groups I have listed up here, I will go into depth afterwards with a dedicated slide, so I'm just going to rapid fire these real quick. The facilities themselves are run by site directors. Think of just building managers who just manage the entire site, right? Scientists they're the ones that once the anomaly is brought in, they actually do proper dedicated tests to learn more about them. Field agents, they're the ones that locate and gather the data for SCPs as much as they can anyways on site. Depends on the hostility of the SCP, obviously. MTF units, they're the ones that can go out and contain said SCPs. Most of the time, they're really specialized. Again, I'll get into that later, but typically MTFs are what go out for specific SCPs like that. Containment specialists, they're the ones that are going to, come up with the idea for how do we contain this thing, right? A good example is 106, the old man, I believe is his number. I forgot. I just remember he's an old man. That took him a while to come up with it. It's a really weird box that's basically, this old man can basically phase through walls, right? Can go through pocket dimensions, just go straight through walls. So the containment specialists are like, okay, we can't stop him from doing this necessarily, but we can make it a lot harder. So they have like specific types of walls. They have weird geometry in the walls, like pipes leading all over the place to nowhere really, filled with water and sand. Sometimes it could be as complex as that. Sometimes it's literally just taking the guy and putting him in a box. Right? Pretty easy. Guards, the guard the facilities, D-class die, that just happens. Janitors clean up the people, good stuff like that. The SCP Foundation consists of the smartest people in the world, and not all of them are human. That is a long discussion on that end, though, because that also depends on, timelines and all that stuff. So we're going to get down to the specifics. O5 Council. There are 13 members, probably, maybe, we don't know for certain. Remember, this is a very secretive organization, and these people are exceptionally secretive of the already secretive organizations. So most of the things we do know about them are either fake or just because they want us to. They're not going to let out information that they don't want us to know, get out. They are the most powerful people on the planet. Kind of. I'll get into that later as well. But for all intents and purposes, what they say goes. Again, exceptionally secretive. I wouldn't be surprised, considering the most powerful people on the planet controlling the most powerful organization on the planet makes sense. They have access to everything in the Foundation. That means every single record. If anyone has ever read a actual SCP file and seen all the redactions, they get access to all the unedited versions of those. They see everything plain. They can basically access anything whenever they want to, be that an SCP or information. There's very little people that can tell them no, and I'll get into the few people that can in a bit. They are the main decision makers. They're the ones that sit at the very, very top of that pyramid. Again, if we're going off the assumption that it is a council of 13 people, typically they'll just come together and make decisions and basically vote on it. Majority rules typically. Pretty simple. We don't know specifics necessarily. We don't know guaranteed specifics of each and every single individual member of the O5 Council. We have a general description of what they may look like, but again, that's not guaranteed. Unfortunately, for the time I have, I can't get into every single one of them specifically. However, the biggest ones we do know of is that O5-1 is known to be the most powerful and influential of all the SCP, or all of the O5 Council members. And that O5-13 may or may not actually exist. We don't know. They have their own MTF as well. Again, Mobile Task Force Unit. Alpha-1, Red Right Hand. It's their black ops. They'll do whatever they want them to do. If they need a specific mission done, they'll do it. There's an SCP out there called the Fountain of Youth. The names are typically easier to remember than the actual SCP numbers because, again, it's just numbers. But there's something out there. There's an SCP that's just called the Fountain of Youth that does pretty much exactly what you'd think it would do. You just drink it and you become young again. Technically, the O5 are not supposed to interact with any SCPs for fear of contamination or death or anything like that. Again, they're very important people, and if someone of them dies, it's not very easy to replace them because you have to go through a whole process. You don't know who's trustworthy and who's not, et cetera, et cetera. But whenever they want that special Fountain of Youth water, Alpha-1 is the one that goes and collects it. If they want to kill you, Alpha-1's the one that's going to come and kill you. And we're going to talk about Alpha-1's connections later. Alright, next one, Administrator. This one is very hard to explain because this is one that especially depends on what setting you're going for, and what the story is trying to do. Sometimes the administrator is displayed as the person that is the head of the foundation. Sometimes he's seen as like O5-1. Sometimes he's represented as just someone who goes and represents the foundation on the world stage. He would be the one that actually goes out and talks to, the world leaders. Like, he would be the one talking to the president, for example. Others still think that he's completely separate and he was the original founder of the foundation. Some people think he's just one person that lives forever. Others think that there have been multiple administrators. Again, it really just depends on what the story is trying to convey and what they decide, basically. None of those interpretations are necessarily wrong. It just kind of depends on what you want to go with them. The one constant we do know is that he has SCP-262. It's basically just a trench coat that has a whole bunch of tentacle arms coming out of it. Pretty much the only thing we know of for certain is that the administrator has that thing in their closet. Okay. It kind of is, but it smells pretty bad, from what I understand. Okay, now this is my favorite part. I don't know if you can read the meme up there that I had horribly bit crunched, but this is the ethics committee. This is the one group in the foundation that can tell the O5 Council to fuck off. So, what are they? Well, they're exactly what it sounds like. They're a committee of people in the foundation that control ethics. Now, I know you're thinking, the foundation likes to use human sacrifices for a lot of their SCP containment procedures. You tell me they have an ethics committee. Well, yeah, they do. I hate to tell you. There are two sides to them that will often get portrayed as in stories. They'll either be seen as a total joke by typically people that don't know them any better. You just hear like the jokes and the yucks and the memes. And the other is the actual most powerful group in the Foundation. They're the ones that are supposed to keep the O5 Council on a leash. They have veto power over the O5 Council, and they have basically the equivalent of O5 clearance. The same as the O5 Council, obviously. Just a quick side note, when it says clearance, it's a number gauge from 5 to 1, or 5 to 0, rather. Basically, the more important you are in the Foundation, the higher number your clearance is going to be. So O5 Council obviously has O5 clearance. They're pretty much the only group that does, aside from Ethics Committee, the Administrator, and whoever the O5 Council wants to have, basically. And then you just go down from there based on what the rules are. Their motto, the Foundation's motto, is meant to be cold, not cruel. Basically, we have to do what's the best for humanity, but we shouldn't do it unnecessarily, right? Like, oh, we're killing 5 children to stop this god from killing everybody, as opposed to we're going to kill 5 children because it's fun and we want to, They're actually the ones that have to greenlight all of the containment procedures. So, not just containment procedures, but think of any horrible act the Foundation might have done. The ethics committee is the people to say, yeah, that's good. We're gonna sleep well tonight. They're the ones that know all about that. Again, they have the final say over Foundation decisions, even over the O5 Council. Question: does anyone know about the Montauk procedure?
No.
Good.
No.
Okay. Tholen does. I'm not surprised. Tholen's a nerd, and she knows a lot about SCP. The Montauk procedure is described as basically there's this woman who would give birth to a child of unknown disaster. Basically a monster's SCP that would do a lot of bad things and probably kill everybody in the world. So, my headset battery is low. I just charged this. Hold on. That's not good. I don't like MetaQuest as a company. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, we all.
Yeah, I'm currently stuck in standalone mode, unfortunately, because the update finally got to me, and I can't link my headset to my computer anymore. So, I'm running better now, though, so that's, it's kind of weird, but, it works. So I'm standing again. Okay, where was I? Montauk procedure, right. Again, there's this pregnant woman who is believed to, when she gives birth, basically end the world. So, The Foundation, I say the Foundation, the Ethics Committee, or Containment Specialist basically came up with this ritual. We don't know exactly what the ritual is, but the very little detail we do know is that 6 D-Class basically are sent into this room to do some kind of ritual. And I don't remember if the D-Class survived. Probably not, to be honest with you, because they're D-Class, and that's just kind of how the Foundation works. But basically it's described that they do untold horrendous things to this woman, right? It's redacted. Again, we don't know exactly what it is, but basically my suggestion to you is think of the worst thing you can possibly think of to happen to somebody in your head, and then up that by 1, and that's basically what the Montauk procedure is meant to be. The Ethics Committee took a look at that procedure and were like, yeah, that sounds good. So my question to you is, what do you think they haven't greenlit, if they're willing to greenlit that, right? So it's kind of, yeah, they are the ones to sleep with all that and basically have that weighing on their conscience for the rest of their life. All right, next big one, MTF. MTF stands for Mobile Task Force. They...
Trans?
I'm really proud of this slide. I'm really proud of this slide.
Yeah.
I'm really proud. Yeah, the Montauk is believed to be associated with the Scarlet King.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, it's weird.
About it. You mentioned the details. It's like, oh, hey, I've seen stuff on this before.
It's believed because they also... I'm trying to not stray too much because there's a lot of information in here to cover. But it's believed like SCP-682 is offspring of the Scarlet King. So if 682 wasn't the last and most horrible one to release, what the hell's going to come out of that woman, right?
Your mic's getting like garbled.
Oh, it is? I don't know how to fix that.
No, not you, not you. It was Farago over here trying to tell me something. I think they're trying to make a joke.
Okay.
I was trying not to be too loud to not.
So what an MTF is depends on the task at hand. Whenever people think of MTF, I'm sure most people think of Epsilon 11 Nine-Tailed Fox. You see them in Containment Breach, and you see them in Secret Laboratory. They are basically just a really well-equipped, like, armed group, right? They work under... oh, my floor is dirty. They work under Alpha 1, and their goal is basically they're just armed... They're armed soldiers. I wouldn't calling them soldiers doesn't do them justice. Because they are really badass in lore. They look kind of goofy in Secret Laboratory and Containment Breach, but Containment Breach is kind of old at this point, especially like the original version, and Secret Laboratory is a social experiment of a game, so it's not exactly canon. But it really depends on what they need to do. There's a whole bunch of them, and I don't know if I don't think I have a slide going over some of them, but there's way too many of them to go into proper detail about. There's a good couple of videos out there that go into a lot of them in depth. They are basically meant to be the best of the best at what they do. So Epsilon 11, again, Nine-Tailed Fox, their whole goal is to go in and patch security breaches. So again, when you're in Containment Breach and you see, you're playing the game, Epsilon 11 is the people that come in because that's their whole specialization. Alpha 1, Red Right Hand, again, they work for the O5 Council. That's basically their specialization, is that they're the Black Ops. They do whatever the Council wants them to do. Again, they're also the ones, it depends on which MTF it is, but there are like specially designed MTFs that go out to contain SCPs. The M standing for mobile, obviously they can go wherever they need to be. And it just depends on what task they're assigned, and that will tell you which one it is. We don't know how many of them there are. In the meta sense, the reason we don't know is because there's always more being created. In lore sense, the SCP Foundation just doesn't want you to know that information, because you don't need to know that information. And if you know that information, it's not very good for you. Well, for the Foundation. They don't want you to know their secrets, which is fair considering the stuff they know. Is it frozen?
Came up for me.
D-Class is up now.
Oh, I don't see that.
I do.
A half a minute.
That's weird. I'm just gonna trust that it's working, even though I can't see it. Okay.
Refresh over here. Well, maybe not you. If you refresh, it might refresh.
I think. I really hope it doesn't ask me to insert the URL again. Okay, thank God. It's good. Okay, that's good. I can't copy and paste in quest mode.
Refresh over here.
I can't copy and paste in quest mode. I had to insert the entire URL bit by bit. So that was good. Loved that one. Yeah, it's not good. Okay, back on task. D class. They are the Foundation's guinea pigs. This is where we're going to learn about the Foundation's crimes against humanity. But it's okay, because it's all worth it in the end. Trust me. They are the guinea pigs. They're literal human cancer. Want to know how they figured out 173 broke necks? They just threw a D class in there and said, hey, figure it out, and then its neck got snapped. And like, what if we put 2 in there? And then that happened again. Like, what if we put 3 in there? And they did it again. Or what if we put 5 in there? And they realized it's not doing with 5, so we have to learn a little bit more. They just throw people at it and just hope for the best, and that's how they learn, because they're not going to risk their own lives. Why would they do that? They are said to all be death row inmates. That's bullshit, first of all. There's not that many death row inmates in the world. Now, I guess since this is an alternate universe, there could technically be, but you also, if you look deeper and you look at some SCPs, there is, let's do a sidetrack real quick and talk about something the ethics committee did greenlight. There's an SCP out there. Don't remember the number, don't remember the name. But basically, one day this school bus came along, and a bunch of kids got onto the school bus. Well, they didn't reach their intended destination. And this school bus then later, like 20-something years later, showed up out of nowhere and dropped out these kids at their same age, everything. And the Foundation's like, well, what the hell is this? We have to contain these people and figure it out, right? Well, a little while later, another bus shows up with clones of the same kids. And then another one. And then another one. And then another one. And then the SCP Foundation takes a look at this and they're like, we do kind of need test subjects, don't we? So then cue the ethics committee taking a look at this and being like, their parents, for all the parents know, the kids have been missing forever, and they probably won't ever come back. The rest of the world has pretty much forgotten these kids. For all intents and purposes, no one remembers these kids exist or have completely given up hope on them. So, what if we just use them as test subjects? And that is one area now where the Foundation gets personnel. So, yeah. That's pretty good. They do tend to die very, 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 very often because, again, they're just getting thrown into random places and just seeing what happens to them. You know, we gotta figure out what this SCP does one way, shape, or form. You also have the 1 month deadline. What happens is, for whatever reason, someone becomes a D class, right? They go through they survive, and they go through 1 month of testing. And a couple of things can happen to you at that point. It just kind of depends, again, on the story that you're reading and what that story is trying to do. Sometimes you can be anesthetized, and you just keep working as a D class, depending on how you served, basically. Or you can be anesthetized and work as a normal staff member. You can get turned into a janitor, you can get turned into a facility guard, you can get turned into a scientist. Just kind of depends on who you are, how you behaved, how you did your quote-unquote job. Sometimes you're anesthetized and set free. Most commonly, you just kind of get killed, because if you have a D class that survives for long enough, what happens if they break free and they have all this information in their head? So basically, they do a memory wipe every month. Let's say this D class survives and stays a D class. Well, let's say you live as a D class for 3 years and you just work at the Foundation. For 36 months, every month, you get your mind wiped. You can kind of understand how D class would eventually start to lose some of their functionality over time due to constant memory wipes. So it's typically not done very often that you stay as a D class forever. It depends, again, on how you behaved. If you were not good and you did a lot of bad things, like murdered a bunch of children, you're probably going to serve your 1 month and get shot, or stay as a D class. If you were doing something that you probably shouldn't have done, like look at classified documents of the SCP Foundation, you go through 1 month, you'll probably just get turned into anesthetized, turned into a D class, anesthetized again after 1 month, get turned into a janitor. It just kind of happens. At the end of the day, they're not. You don't want to be D class. Ooh. Ooh. Uh-oh. That's weird. I lost hand tracking for a minute. Ignore that. Okay. GOI. What is a GOI? Well, it's a group or groups of interest. Usually, most of the time, pretty much all the time, a GOI is a group of interest that has interacted or has something to do with anomalies. That's not a part of the Foundation. The most well-known you'll see are the UNGOC. Again, after this, I'm going to go into slides dedicated to most of these, not all of them, because a lot of them are pretty...
Punch of sharks?
Yes, that is a GOC. They just do that. That is something that exists.
What did we do?
What?
I'm sorry, Amber.
I'm a shark.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't work there. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't work there. I'm a Foundation lawyer.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. No, it's fine. It's very funny. Okay.
Anomaly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you. We'll start with the UNGOC. This is the most common group of interest you'll probably hear of. Second, maybe only to the Chaos Insurgency. UNGOC stands for United Nations Global Occult Coalition. They are the anomalous branch of the United Nations, dedicated to, well, dealing with anomalies. They want to murder every anomaly known to mankind. It does not matter what it is. It does not matter how dangerous it is. If it's anomalous, it has to die. They are official terrorists. Because, yeah, they just murder. They just do that. Funded and run by the United Nations. They basically just do whatever the UN tells them to do. We're going to get into the chair incident. So, I'm going to try to condense this as fast as I can. There's this chair. Don't remember the number. It's just a nice, funny little teleporting chair. Basically, what it does is, do you want to sit down? Do your feet hurt? Well, this chair is going to teleport right behind you, and its only purpose, its only goal, the only thing that gives it satisfaction is that you sit in that chair. Well, the GOC find this thing, and they're like, fuck this thing, and they throw it into a wood chipper. So, this is an anomalous sentient chair who, after being sent through the wood chipper, is not dead, is just in a bunch of separate little parts. So like wood chips and nails and stuff like that you would find in a chair. And it teleports inside the lungs of the GOC members there and kills them by cutting up their lungs, and then they die. This chair, the pile of scraps, ends up teleporting into a SCP Foundation facility. They send a D-class in because they're not sure, or no, sorry, they send a guard in because they're not sure what this thing is. Like, how did this thing just counter breach containment and come into our facility? Well, the guard walks in and dies immediately because the wood chips teleport into his lungs. They send a D-class in, and the D-class is fine. Turns out this chair, the wood chips, has PTSD because it got shoved into a wood chipper. So, long story short, they put it into a nice little flower box of mulch, and they use that as its containment procedure to just, be nutrients for a flower. And whenever they have people go in, they always compliment the flowers and say, wow, these flowers look really good. So that way the chair still feels like it's being useful. So, they tried murdering a nice little chair. Didn't pose a threat to anybody. Now, again, it is an anomaly, so it does, it is a security threat in some degree, but it's not, gonna kill anybody. But they still tried to murder it, and I don't like them. I hate them. They are arguably the largest competitor to the SCP Foundation. Again, it kind of depends on, how important the GOC is in a story compared to how important the Chaos Insurgency is in a story. Because if the SCP Foundation ever needs to, have conflict with a different GOI, it's going to be one of the big three, be that the Global Occult Coalition, or the Chaos Insurgency, or the Serpent's Hand. And we'll get into those as well. They have worked with the SCP Foundation on occasion. It's not super common. It's only whenever there's matters of like grave importance, like something super, super dangerous. Not very common. The Chaos Insurgency, arguably the second largest. They're tied with the GOC for most popular. They're the two biggest ones that the Foundation is going to run into. They are literally just actual terrorists. They're not good people. As the name implies, they are an insurgency that spreads chaos. They, however, only target SCP Foundation facilities. They break in, they kill Foundation personnel, they release anomalies to cause, well, chaos wherever they are. That's their only real goal that we know of. They run basically under this thing called the Engineer. We don't know if it's a computer program, we don't know if it's a person, we don't know if it's an anomaly. We just know that whatever they work for is something called the Engineer. They are said, this is pretty commonly accepted by most people. It is said that they were formed by splinter agents from the Red Right Hand that work on the O5 Council. Don't ever say that out loud. You will get shot for it. But most people agree that that's probably where they came from. We don't know why exactly. We just know that that's probably what happened. They really only take SCPs to further their goals. They just like fucking with the Foundation a lot, which is kind of funny, but I hate them, so I don't like them, and I don't think it's very funny. All right, Serpent's Hand, the third of the big three, what I consider to be the big three. They are anomalous terrorists. Basically, their goal is that they do the same thing the Chaos Insurgency does. They will raid facilities and free SCPs. However, they won't use those SCPs to cause chaos. Well, it kind of depends on the SCP that they tend to be breaking out that day. If you're breaking out a little teddy bear whose whole goal is to make organs for you out of yarn, it's not going to be that dangerous. But if they break out 682, who will murder everything in sight, yeah, that's kind of a problem. They believe that anomalies should be shared with the world, and they're kind of losers for that, but I can see the vision and what they're trying to accomplish. But they basically argue that the world shouldn't be, blind to this. Like, the SCP shouldn't be hidden from the world. Like, everyone's sharing the Earth. We should know about these things, right? Well, you can kind of see why it would be kind of scary knowing you have unkillable monsters that could just walk on your house anytime. So, yeah, kind of that kind of... Yeah, I suppose. I don't know much about the Wanderer's Library, other than that it's like some kind of interdimensional hub of sorts that the Serpent's Hand tend to use a lot. It basically contains every single piece of information like, on a multi-universal level. Think of the Library of Alexandria, but for everything you could possibly conceive of in any possible timeline or universe or something like that. Mega Library of Alexandria. Now, here comes one of my favorite GOIs, simply because they're horrible. Who has heard of the Unusual Incidents Unit? They are a branch of the FBI who dedicate themselves to anomalies. They're not good at it. They are notoriously incompetent, which kind of tracks given the FBI's current standing in the world today. They once amnesticized a group of people who saw an anomaly before they interviewed them. So, yeah, you can kind of see how that went. There's not a whole lot of information on them, like how there are some other groups of interest. Like, there's a division for the Soviet Union that existed, Division P. We don't know a whole lot about them, unfortunately, just because they're so... they don't tend to have much, like, staying power stories. Again, if the SCP Foundation ever finds themselves interacting with anomalous groups, it tends to be one of those big three of the GOC, Serpent's Hand, or Chaos Insurgency. Okay, on to the star of the show, which I'm sure some people are probably here for, the SCPs themselves. They use a fairly complex system. We're going to focus on the main three. All right, we'll go into the four, and the fifth one's pretty self-explanatory. You have Safe, which is, it's easy to contain. Euclid is difficult but not impossible, and Keter or Keter, depends on how you want to pronounce it. I pronounce it Keter because that's just how I have since I was a kid, and I'm too stubborn to stop now. They are either near impossible or literally impossible to contain. Thaumiel classifies SCPs that are used to contain other SCPs. I have an example of each one of these 4 later down the line, so it'll make more sense when I go into it there. These are not danger levels; they're ease of containment. There are specified danger levels, but I don't have anything for that right now. And whenever you see stuff like Safe, Euclid, and Keter, that's going to be what is shown on the actual SCP file. I'm sure everyone's seeing like, oh, 682 Keter. That just means it's really hard to keep locked down because you can't kill it and it likes killing you. So, speaking of 682, let's get into some examples. This one is nicknamed the Hard-to-Destroy Reptile. It could kind of be killed. Not really. It's pretty much just brought down and knocked unconscious for a little bit. But it will eventually get back up, it will regenerate, and it will come back with either a resistance or a form of power of whatever killed it last. So, the first time they see the thing, they shoot it to death. Well, it comes back up and has it has bulletproof armor. It's not bullet resistant, it's bulletproof. You can't shoot it anymore. Now it's kind of it's kind of weird if these immunities are permanent in terms of, oh, we shot it once, we can never shoot it again. Because then you have to ask, okay, well, if it's contained in this bath of corrosive acid, wouldn't it technically get immune to that too? Yes. End of sentence, because no one elaborates on it. It's just kind of suspend your disbelief for a little bit longer type of thing. The Foundation has spent billions of dollars trying to permanently kill this thing. Nothing has worked. You can knock it down for a little bit, but it will just eventually get back up. I mentioned it previously, 5 seconds ago, that the way they contain this thing, quote unquote, they just keep it in a vat of corrosive acid and just hope to God it doesn't get back up and break out of the facility. It is notoriously one of the hardest SCPs that the Foundation has to try to keep hold of. And for good reason. It is, he's kind of scary. So, congrats, you all see him now, so we're all dead, but that's fine. 096. He is, also known as the Shy Guy, is the most common name I ever see for him. He's literally this tall, lanky, white, pale creature. I don't remember the exact height, but I think he's up to 8 or 9 feet tall. He will kill and presumably eat you. The exact specifics of what happens to you is not clear, but you do die. You die regardless. He will continuously hunt you down until he reaches you. It doesn't matter how much of the face you see. It could literally be a tiny pixel, like what I have in that. It's right behind me, so it's kind of hard to see. But that picture on the bottom left is the canonical picture that we have, that exists in SCP files. Realistically, that little pixel is blocked out because if you see that much, he will kill you. There was a containment breach that happened because some hiker found that picture in their photo book, and it breaks out containment. It is a very, very good story, so I'm not going to go into too much of specifics for it. It's a very good, a very depressing story about when 096 broke containment. It is so good, I highly recommend you go out and read it. The long and short of it is, this thing breaks out of containment, goes on a massive killing spree because obviously everyone just looking at this thing and seeing its face. It kills a whole bunch of people, and it kills that hiker because obviously he's the one that looked at the face in the first place. Agents get deployed to the scene and try to, calm everyone down, keep them looking down, not looking up, trying to reduce civilian casualties as much as possible. Again, ultimately, this is the Foundation's MO. Try to prevent, keep humanity alive in this midst of all of these horrendous monsters. It literally, nothing stops it. The only way to not get killed by the thing is to not look at it. You can go to space. It's a myth that it will jump up and go through space to get to you. but it won't rest until you come back down to Earth, and then it will destroy you. I think the same thing has been said for like interdimensional stuff as well, because there is a story about 106, the old man sending 096 Shy Guy into a pocket dimension, and basically 096 freaking out because he can't reach the old man because he just keeps jumping in and out of the pocket dimension. Pretty good SCP. Not my personal favorite, but it's one that pretty much most people will know because it's in the games, right? And, you know, games have a good reach out. 999 is one of my personal favorite SCPs. He's just a little guy. He's literally just an orange slime blob. He's also known as the Tickle Monster, and he's very cool. He's very nice. He's so good. He is said to smell like your favorite scent. So picture whatever your favorite scent is. That's what this little guy smells like. Some of the examples obviously are like peanut butter, roses, Fraudy Luma immersion spray would be mine, but you know, no one cares. Touching the little guy will induce a sense of immediate, mild euphoria. So you touch him, you pet him. He is an actual cure for depression. He has cured stuff like depression, PTSD, any severe like mental disorders like that. He has been able to cure. That feeling of euphoria intensifies the longer you touch him, and it will last after you let go of him. So it's not like you touch him and then you fall into depression. You touch him, you're into euphoria. It slowly fades. Like, it's not going to stay with you permanently, but you're not going to have like a drop off in dopamine being produced, basically. He did. I forgot about this part. There was a cross test between 999 and 682 because the Foundation was like, well, if he can cure all these mental problems, surely he can tell 682 to calm the fuck down, right? Well, he did tickle him, and he did make him laugh. He made him laugh so hard that the vibrations broke the walls of the containment facility, and he broke out and killed a bunch of people. So, yeah. If we want to get back into Scarlet King comparisons, it is said that this little guy is meant to be able to destroy the Scarlet King. Can't really say it because that's not something that's like confirmed. That's just a theory that has been made. But if you take a look at that little guy and you're like, I would love to see him. I want to touch him. Remember that the GOC wants to throw this thing into a wood chipper. So, you know, if you're ever asked who your favorite anomalous group is, if I hear any of you say GOC, I'm killing you. Because you're going to let them kill that little guy? I feel shame. Now, this is my personal favorite SCP, and the one I know Tia really likes. Hi, Tia. This is SCP-4999, nicknamed Someone to Watch Over Us. He appears to those who are dying alone with no one, you know, no family, no friends, with usually not anything going on in their lives, typically. What he will do is he'll come up to you and he'll offer you a cigarette. And he will stay with you until you die. I hope you like that last-minute Lost panel I found. I did this in the last, 20 minutes before I started the presentation, because I'm like, I wonder if I can find any other memes. But, yeah, that's Lost, but SCP version, so you're welcome. The Foundation has not been able to contain it, and the Ethics Committee has argued that it shouldn't be contained. So, okay, how do they keep this thing's presence away from the wider world? Well, they don't. What they do is they keep this thing going. They basically fuel discussions on online forums like, hey, there's this weird ghostly figure appearing on hospital security cameras. What is this thing going on? And people will basically, what the Foundation is, they fuel that fire and being like, oh, this is this weird conspiracy. People don't actually think it's real. They think it's a ghost hunting of sorts. They think it's like, you know, a creepypasta almost, right? They just think it's a funny little thing that was made. This is honestly, yeah, I would have to say this is either my favorite or second favorite SCP ever, because, you know, in a universe full of bloodthirsty monsters and, you know, horrors beyond man's comprehension, something this small and this wholesome is really nice. And I love it. He's by far like one of my favorite SCPs of all time. And one of my other favorite SCPs, once the delay stops, in a minute, he is, because he's not dangerous, he just can't be contained.
He is a good example of Keter not being danger level.
True. I think there's one called 5610 out there too, who I haven't actually done research on. I just know he's also Keter and supposedly wholesome, but that's all I know, because I was looking up memes for 49.99, and that was just one that came up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll have to look into that later. Back on track. SCP-2000 is a Thaumiel class. Remember when I mentioned Thaumiel is meant to counteract other SCPs? Well, this is one of them. It's nicknamed Deus Ex Machina. It is located in Yellowstone National Park, which is awesome, by the way. That's peak. I love Yellowstone National Park. I love Teddy Roosevelt. God, what a good person. Basically, this is a big reset button. The idea is, in the event of a mass extinction event, this machine will more or less reset the world. It will clone every single human that was there at the time, imbue them with those same memories, and fix any damage that happened to the world, be that craters, be that damaged buildings. It will literally just reset the world, and presumably that threat that was there before just disappears. We know for a fact that this machine has been used at least twice because of notes that were left inside the facility. Something about someone saying, next time don't mess up the year and put it on the correct setting, because I think they had said it like 2 years into the future or something like that by accident. But yeah, so if anyone's ever heard of XK class in other world scenarios, basically that's the end of the world. That's going to happen no matter what you do. Like, you can't stop it. This is the MacGuffin. This is the what if we just didn't have that happen type of thing, and it just happens. Really cool, actually. It's one of my other favorite SCPs, but for a different reason. I just think it's cool. All right, next one I have is
This is my favorite one.
I heard of it, but I love it.
I don't remember. I could have sworn you know what? We'll come back to this one later. I think we'll figure that out afterwards.
Class medics got him.
I don't remember that. All right, here's we get into the weird wonky stuff. We have our alternate universes and timelines, kind of. You have multiple different examples. SCP-5000. Next slide, I'll get into why I don't like it, but it's fine, don't worry. 2935, Oh Death, 1730, Site 13, and multiple others. I'm only going to go over the first two, 5000 and 2935, because the Site 13 one is such a massive, is a very in-depth story, and I recommend you just read the story of it yourself. I'm not going to say anything else besides that. Remember when I mentioned how SCP doesn't exactly have a canon, but it kind of has one, coherent-esque timeline with a bunch of different branches happening off of it? That's what a lot of these SCPs tend to be. Okay. I'm mentally preparing myself. I fucking hate this thing, and I'm gonna tell you why. SCP-5000 is an alternate universe timeline bullshit, where the SCP Foundation turns evil because of plot devices, because it wants to, because it can. They begin this project where they basically are going out to map the entire human consciousness. They're basically trying to find a way to, can we stop humanity from dying in one way, shape, or form? They find it is not described very well, which in most settings doesn't matter to me, because that's part of the story, right? It's good. We don't know what 096 does exactly to you. That adds to the horror of it, right? Well, in this case of 5000, they don't tell you what it does. They're just there's this entity, and now the Foundation is evil because it wants to be. When it was first seen, a lot of the people that saw it committed suicide. And those who didn't basically became what's the word for people that just basically became sociopaths? And they basically sent out this info hazard to the Foundation that basically removes their morality. And then they all of a sudden declare war on humanity to wipe humanity out. They kill all human-friendly SCPs, genocide the human race. And it is easily my least favorite SCP. Now I'm going to tell you why. The whole point of the SCP Foundation is to protect humanity from anomalies, to save the human race. Well, there's been a couple of theories that have been thrown around of what this entity in 5000 is. Some people believe that the Foundation found the true meaning behind death, right? And what happens to people after they die. And the entity, basically, every time people die, it gets stronger, right? So the Foundation is going out of their way to kill all of humanity to starve the entity. Well, then what the fuck's the point? You're just losing anyways. You're just speeding it up. It doesn't make sense. And there are better ways to go about the Foundation taking an evil turn than just deciding, let's just murder everybody, right? And for no good reason. Because, okay, you killed humanity, now what? So now what's the point? How did you win? What did you do? And it's just so... It's just not a good SCP. If you like it...
advocate with that one. I'm certain there's a SCP that you could use to clone the same human over and over again, and based off of a lot of how the universe functions, you can just kill that same person over and over again to satiate and depreciate the power of the SCP. I'm assuming that's in some multiverse, but...
You wanna know the funny part is? That could theoretically work if the Foundation didn't go out of their way to destroy SCP-2000, so it doesn't even work. So it's again a question of what are they doing? They're sabotaging themselves every step of the way, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make for a good story.
Oh god.
fair enough.
It's not good. I'm like, if you like it, that's fine. You can enjoy a story. But personally, I don't like it. There is a game on Steam called SCP-5000, which does look interesting enough. But for the story itself, it is my least favorite SCP, and I would argue one of the worst SCPs that was created. No, dislike to the person who made it, but it's just not good, man. Not every SCP can hit. Now, the good news is, again, since I mentioned, not every SCP is canon, so every time I'm playing an SCP game, or I'm making, my own stories, this thing doesn't exist. This thing, gone, dead, buried, bullshit, dog, bad. Because it's just not good. It's so counterintuitive to what the SCP Foundation is and to what they're trying to accomplish by killing humanity. Because you're killing humanity to starve this entity, but at the same time you're powering it, and, okay, congrats, you wiped out humanity, now what do we do? Now, what's your purpose to exist? There just isn't any.
Class. I mean, that's obviously not how it goes, but that's
yeah, because it's just not good.
I gotcha.
I do have one point to really quickly make. I will make it fast because I would fight Frost over this SCP.
While you're,
the story isn't the best written, correct? However, I would say it's a warning story of what happens when the Foundation oversteps and no one stops it. What you mentioned earlier with the info hazard, originally when they found out this entity was feeding on human emotion, they tried to inoculate themselves against it, which was successful.
You get options on how you made these decisions.
All of their emotions, and that is what caused this
you get what I mean,
cascading failure of the Foundation.
Multiversal decisions.
I still don't think it's a good SCP. I just think it's so counterintuitive to everything that the Foundation is meant to be, that if the Foundation is meant to protect humanity and then all of a sudden it decides not to, why is it even an SCP story? Why not just put it in a different setting? I don't know. It just... Again, you can enjoy it if you want to. I don't enjoy it, and I don't think I will ever enjoy it. So... let's go into something that's less controversial, but still pretty sad. 2935, nicknamed O Death. This is considered a space-time anomaly, and it is located through a limestone cave in Indiana. Basically what it does is it transports you to a copy of our own current world. The only difference is that everything is dead. There's not even bacteria alive to decompose these bodies. So they send a drone in, and they see all these things, and they end up losing connection with it. So they're like, okay, let's get an MTF team in there, or some field agents, and just figure some stuff out. Now, it's been a while since I've read the story, but they basically go in, they find all these things, they find that people are dead, SCPs are dead. Again, there's not even bacteria alive to decompose the bodies, except for one. And they come across it, and it's an identical body of the current team leader, who is dead and who is currently decomposing. And basically, I don't remember what happens to the rest of the team, but what ends up happening is he takes his own life to prevent him from coming back into our world and bringing the anomaly with him and doing the exact same thing here. The idea is basically he comes in and he sees, everyone he knows is dead. That's presumably what happened to him originally. Maybe he already figured out that if I come back, everyone else is going to die. The long and short of it is he realizes that if he goes back, he dooms his world. So he takes his own life, and presumably the cycle repeats. It is a very good SCP. It's another one I recommend you just read the story of yourself, because it's a very good one. That is, if I want to get into a good time, how am I doing on time? It's 8 o'clock. Shit. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up as fast as I can. Basically, they observe it at all times to make sure that there is no one's going to go inside of it and cause an XK class another world scenario by killing everybody and bringing the anomaly back. So, in conclusion, the Foundation is based. They're very awesome and very cool. You should give all of your money to the Foundation. The GOIs, bad. Don't like them. They're terrorists. Kill them. SCP-5000, I hate it. Bad. And the GOC is garbage. That is all. I don't have any more slides. That's the last one. Yeah.
What's your opinion on Infinite IKEA?
Oh, I did not put that one in there. It is a pretty funny one. It is a pretty good one. I do like it.
A good way of explaining these, I'd say, if you want to go into some of the more deep lore SCPs, you could probably rant on them and do slideshows at this length for specific ones that some people would be interested in. My goodness.
Possibly. I could do that for next one. I've also been thinking about doing a 40k, Warhammer 40k presentation next time if Phil lets me.
Another rabbit hole. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, if we have questions, go ahead and line up. Shad, do you want to...
Can I shamelessly plug my favorite SCP YouTuber here?
Hold.
Yeah, if you want to come up and grab the microphone so everyone can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's okay, just hold it. Once you hold it, it projects your voice.
You're gay.
I was gonna inquire about Aligata.
Anyway, if you are actually interested in SCP stuff, you don't want to sit there and read, because I know that's not really accessible to everyone. There's a fair few YouTubers who do it, but the Volgan on YouTube, if you just look up SCP Volgan, you'll find him. He does absolutely great readings, like
I have it, but it went language now.
Top tier YouTuber.
I could talk about guy at least 10.
Oh, it's glued!
Oh, yeah. You should be able to
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi, Phil. How are you? Are you in line first? I don't know. There's a line.
Is there a line?
Give me time so you can keep the recording
how are
going.
you? Good.
I don't want to talk to other people. I just want to
lay in a way that's not weird and turn your throat.
Well, I want to be able to see what's forward, but I don't want to lay my back because my back is like, I hate this thing.
You, Phil, and I regret to inform you. I can't hear you.
I'm headed back to the meetup world.
I hope she hasn't been talking this entire time.
You know what that means? I don't want to change it.
It has its own thing.
You know what that means?
Good
bird.
Alright.
No!
You know what that means?
I'm sorry! I just not be it.
The conjecture on the
There she is. Hi, phone. There you go. Hi, phone.
Okay, sorry for disconnecting so many times earlier, by the way, but I kept having to fight off SCPs that you kept summoning, especially 096. That one took a minute.
No problem, man.
So I think first of all, I think SCP-055 is the one that's not round.
Is that the one where
Which
they
one?
retconned all of the afterlife?
Honestly,
What?
that's my favorite place.
Which one? What are you talking about?
This is, hey,
What?
multiversal.
What are you talking about?
I haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, you just
The Hanged King is part of the
What?
Trinity.
Anyway, there's this SCP that's like a rock or something. When you touch it, it swaps your physical sex. I'm looking for people to join me on a raid to Site 19 so we can steal this thing.
Where? Show me the way.
Exactly.
Okay, who wants to join me on the raid?
Can I see that real quick?
Listen, for weapons,
Fuck the foundry,
have,
I need the
like,
trans rock.
I have a soldering iron that I can use as a weapon. I think I have a few
I have
pencils lying around.
swords.
We can make this raid happen.
I have actual swords.
Also, this is completely unrelated, but why are you corn?
Because my normal avatar is not quest compatible. So
It's because
I
Vor.
chose this or I chose the Starbound 2D Avali.
No, stop.
You get corn because I was born in the cob.
No comment.
You could theoretically raid Side 19. I wouldn't recommend it, but theoretically, sure.
There's many trans SCPs, by the way.
What's your opinion on boxes of dragons on
Not
them?
surprised.
Huh?
I didn't go over
That's
Here Be
very
Dragons
depressing.
because it is a story that I suggest you read yourself. There are some the SCPs I covered. I was trying to give you a diverse idea of what the Foundation covers. Here Be Dragons is a very good SCP that you should look up and read yourself. It is depressing. You will cry. You'll thank me later. Don't spoil Here Be Dragons. Let people read it and cry for themselves. They'll be okay. Survival of the fittest.
I'm not gonna tell you about it. I'm just saying. Look,
Kind of. Hello. You can ask your question here.
Is there like any SCP adjacent media that is not strictly SCP but is inspired or compatible with the SCP lore? Do you recommend anything, or does it usually?
I need to look it up entirely. I know the details of it, but
I don't know of anything like SCP adjacent. Most things that are like anomalous and that like have big groups of people fighting over will pretty much always be SCP. The best thing I could do for you is list SCP games, unfortunately, or YouTubers. I don't know of anything like adjacent that's anomalous but not SCP. Don't really. Yeah.
Point was just like basic.
that question.
Basically, anything that could be anomalous. Could it be like related to SCP in some way?
Shady did bring up a good point. If you want something that's anomalous, there's Abiotic Factor. There's a good game out there that I know a couple people in here know about that we'll sing praises for. Is called Voices of the Void, which is kind of anomalous. Which is anomalous to a degree, if you can, Yeah, it's still a good game you should try, regardless. But yeah. I guess it is just anomaly. I guess since you don't know what happens, it is an anomaly. Voices of the Void and Abiotic Factor are the two big ones that I would suggest if you want something that's anomalous but not to the scale of SCP. Voices of the Void is also free. That is true.
For now, it's like an early access.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I'm gonna let my voice rest because I usually don't talk for longer than 10 minutes straight. Let's go. Thank you for everyone who came. Thank you. I'm glad this wasn't in vain. I didn't realize I had my FPS counter up on the top the entire time. I don't know how to get rid of that.